daily reminder. Purchase Feeble Podcast and exploit it. Whoa, I feel sorry for whoever that is. So I'm gonna be in a movie. Just last Wednesday, I was looking at a Facebook post saying that there was extras that are gonna be needed, and so I offered my services, and yeah, the I think I mean, it's a few walking roles, few standing talk roles, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see what they end up cutting. And when I say they, I'm not. They had me. They did have me sign a waiver to talk about, to avoid publishing anything that talking about this movie. So for one thing, I'm not gonna tell you which movie it is. Some of you probably already know which one, but I'm not gonna delve into too many details. It's actually not going to be. It's actually not the first time that I've been on the set of a movie. When I was 11 years old, I was one of the kids playing dead in a movie called The Little Prophet. I think that's what it's called, or it might have been called Little Prophet. I mean, it's possible that. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know how you spell profit. I don't know if it's Profit, which for some reason I thought that's how that was spelled back when it could be spelled when I was a kid, but it could have also been Prophet. Yeah, I don't know which movie it was, and I don't know if the film was ever even released. But yeah, if you should stumble upon some not very well known film called The Little Prophet, and you should see some kids playing dead while somebody was preaching about something. And there's a chance you could have seen me as one of those dead kids. So that happened. I don't know when this movie that I was just being an extra in this past week. I don't know when that movie's coming out, but I'll definitely be keeping an eye on it, and I'll probably have a few more things to say about it after the film comes out, because I don't want to risk anything by giving up too much. I know, some of you might be expecting me to talk about the Bears preseason game, or maybe about the White Sox, but to be honest, I haven't had a whole lot of time to do either of those, and even if I did, I'm not subscribed to the channels, to the apps that would show those things. So not currently, at least. I mean, I might consider subscribing to something, a few different things here and there to be able to watch those games. I don't know. yeah, I guess yeah, big story in sports in high school sports is high school football. That just got well, yeah, that just got started. Um, to be, some of you might have seen our predictions for that game, and in all honesty, I did not really actually think BLG Smith played were going to win those games. I just picked them to win because I figured, whatever, let's have some fun. Yeah. Yeah, I figured maybe they could pull out maybe some kind of exciting game, maybe, but I mean, I'm sure if you're a Central Catholic fan or a Tri Valley fan, that was pretty exciting. Um, yeah, I was at the GCMS game. PBL was covered by a correspondent, and kind of feel bad for them because they didn't even get a chance to photograph a PBL score, because they lost 41-0. Yeah, I mean at least GCMS scored a touchdown. I got a chance to photograph that. Yeah, they lost 48-7. That's yeah, that was not good. Yeah, a weird thing happened at the end of that game. After Tri Valley scored their last touchdown, there were some fireworks that were set off, and I could. Yeah, it was about 4:44 left in the fourth quarter, and Tri Valley, they're already up by like over 40 points, and for some reason there was like the fireworks shut off from like the visitors side of the stands. I don't know if whether that was Tri Valley's fans setting off those fireworks, or if it was just some random neighbor that just wanted to shoot off some fireworks because, hey, 250, yes, America's 250th year, why not celebrate, right? But yeah, I think one of the coaches was kind of assuming it was one of the Tri Valley fans, and he was talking about how somebody should tell us fans to have some fucking class, and yeah, um, I mean, it is borderline unsportsmanlike to do that stuff, to stop fireworks, if indeed it was a Tri Valley fan that did that, but yeah, I mean, I mean, it is borderline unsportsmanlike. I remember my brother. I have a little brother who, used to be in a high school band, and he talked about, maybe taking his instrument to away games, because usually bands usually only go to home games. They only perform at home games. But he talked about bringing them to the away game, and we all just kind of thought, oh, that's kind of unsportsmanlike, because a visiting team's band usually doesn't come to not to a high school game, I mean, I've seen plenty of college teams do it, but I remember, heck, I remember USC was like all the way up in the upper when USC played the Illini last year, the band was all the way up in the upper nosebleed seats. So, um, yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one thing to, yeah, it'd been one thing for him to bring his instrument to start playing the Clinton High School fight song at the Meridian game or the Central A&M game. Yeah, it's one thing. It's another thing to shoot off fireworks and actually, you know what? Yeah, there was actually another boom sometime in the second quarter. I didn't see fireworks, but it was like, but I could hear what I assume were fireworks. I hate to think that there was like something else going on there. uh, but I digress. Yeah, GCMS. You know, they were facing against a Tri-Valley team that was coming off a state semifinal appearance in 2A, and GCMS is actually a 1A school. You know, they had a lot of starters back, whereas I guess GCMS, you know, aside from from the quarterback, they didn't really have a whole lot of they didn't have a whole lot of players with varsity experience, and you know there were a lot of kids on that team that just played their varsity their varsity debut, and it showed. It showed. You know, I don't think it's over for them. You know, they can still make the playoffs. I mean, which I know is probably not saying much, considering that we just expanded the playoffs last December, but I think they can still make the playoffs. And you know, with a little varsity experience, you know, could surprise somebody in the first round, or the second round, or whatever. PBL, I didn't. Again, I hadn't seen the game, but they have a lot of newcomers on their team too. So maybe kind of the same deal for them. They gotta get some experience and try to salvage maybe 2 or 3 wins so they can get in the playoffs. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now time for a little clumsy transition. Uh, yeah, Tri Valley is nicknames the Vikings. UCMS is the Falcons, and yeah, there's an NFL team named the Falcons that played against a team called the Vikings in the 1998 NFC Championship game. And I guess that's my clumsy transition. Yeah, that 1998 NFC Championship game. This is a transit. I'm transitioning to another what if that came up in my little head. You know, I've already talked about some. You know, obviously I did my 4-part what if alternate universe on the Nate Poole catch, and I did one on the Trey Junkin botch snap, and I guess I talked a little bit about the Steve Bartman incident. Ironically, and here's a little bit of irony. I neglected to tell y'all about that Nate Poole game. That came like 6. You know, that was a game that had the Cardinals lost, they would have gotten the first overall pick in the draft. 6 years prior to that, they also had they also the Cardinals kind of did the same thing. They had an opportunity to get the number one pick had they lost their regular season finale, but they ended up winning the game, the final seconds, winning their game against the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta, they they played a spoiler against the Vikings, and they spoiled their own. And in 1997 they spoiled their own draft. They spoiled their own draft chances by beating the Atlanta Falcons. It was I guess a pretty good game. They won 29-26 on kind of a last with a touchdown pass from Jake Plummer to Larry Centers with a little over 5 seconds left. Had they lost that game, they would have had the number one pick in the 1998 NFL draft. Dang it. Yeah. I just had the window open. My bad. Anyway. So you're gonna hear a few car noises. Anyway. The Cardinals would have had the number one pick in the 1988 draft, and you remember that was the draft where the Colts ended up taking Peyton Manning with the number one overall pick, and of course the San Diego Chargers infamously traded up to be able to select Ryan Leaf. They traded up. They traded with the Cardinals. Chargers had the number 3 overall pick. The Cardinals had the number 2, and the Chargers said, "Hey, we want to pick number 2." And the Cardinals were like, "Oh, well, you give me in return for switching spots. Well, we'll give you 2 first-round picks. We'll give you a second-round pick, and we'll give you a couple players as well." The Cardinals ended up using those draft picks to draft defensive end Andre Wadsworth. That was with the number 3 overall pick that in 1998, and I think Corey Chavis was picked in the second round. Which, oh, by the way, he was actually in that Vikings secondary when Nate Polk caught that pass. So there's a lot of irony that's coming up. Just stick around. And receiver David Boston, who had some pretty good years with the Cardinals, but then got to the San Diego Chargers, then got busted for using PEDs. Let's say the Cardinals, instead of having the number 2 overall pick, had the number 1 overall pick. Say Larry Centers dropped that wide open pass. And let's say the Cardinals just don't end up scoring. And no, there's not going to be any sort of investigation into Larry Centers, whether he dropped that ball on purpose. Stop asking. Stop it. Okay. All right. The Cardinals had the number 1 overall pick. I don't think they would have gone with Peyton Manning. I think they were, that was Jake Plummer. I think they were trying to see what they had with Jake Plummer. That's why hence why they traded with the Chargers in our timeline. But in this timeline, I would see them. I would see them trading down in this timeline as well, and I would see the San Diego Chargers trading up to that number one overall spot, and I see the Chargers taking Peyton Manning, which would lead to the Colts drafting Ryan Leaf. And I think the Cardinals would definitely still draft Andre Wadsworth. I mean, they passed up on Charles Woodson and Randy Moss in our timeline. So why would they do anything different here? I mean, granted, they would probably have had a bigger haul than they ended up getting in our timeline, but I don't think they would. I don't think there's a chance they end up doing anything really big. But of course, and on the surface, from here on out, it just looks like I'm gonna end up being the 100th content creator to do a what if video on what if the Colts drafted Ryan Leaf and what if the Chargers got Peyton Manning. Actually, come to think of it, maybe Peyton Manning would have refused to go to the Chargers. I mean, we all know Eli Manning did refuse to go to the Chargers. So why would maybe Peyton Manning would? I mean, would Archie Manning try to convince Peyton to force his way away from the Chargers? And maybe some other teams would have been interested in trading up with the Cardinals to the Cardinals spot. Yeah. But but obviously, I think spoiler alert. If the San Diego Chargers ended up with Peyton Manning, and maybe they might have been able to win a Super, been able to win pretty big, because the Chargers, they had a really good defense, so they could have done a few things in Peyton's early years, at least. But they wouldn't have gotten LaDainian Tomlinson. They wouldn't have. Maybe they would have gotten Antonio Gates. Maybe. But yeah. If the Colts end up with Ryan Leaf, in part of my four part timeline on the Nate Poole catch, I mentioned that the Colts ended up moving to Los Angeles as a result of trading Peyton Manning and the Bears. I think if the Colts end up with Ryan Leaf, the same thing pretty much happened. They pretty much moved to Los Angeles, which leads to a question that I think affects the University of Illinois' men's basketball team. Because remember, they did play the Final Four at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, and I wonder, if the Colts move out of Indianapolis, do they still keep the RCA Dome? Obviously, they don't build the brand new Lucas Oil Stadium because they don't have an NFL team, right? If there's no NFL team, what happens to the RCA Dome or the Hoosier Dome, whatever you want to call it? The smart thing probably for the government to do is just to tear it down and build some housing or some high-end restaurants or condominiums or something that would boost the economy of the Indianapolis and Indiana. But on the other hand, the thought of Indiana, the thought of the state of Indiana, the state of Indiana really does love its loves its basketball, and the thought of losing the chance to host the Final Four every few years, that I don't think that's something they'd be willing. I'm not so sure that's something they'd all be too willing to give up. I mean, maybe they keep the RCA Dome as kind of a concert / basketball venue. Maybe they put a few millions in there to kind of reconfigure the facility to make it more basketball arena friendly. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, if that would that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. But fortunately for the city of Indianapolis, they don't have that problem because Peyton Manning. So there you go. And if the Chargers do take Peyton Manning, then they don't move out of San Diego. That's another key element to that, and like I said, they might have a chance to win a Super Bowl too with Peyton Manning as their quarterback. But I think but a very underrated part of this is that as a result of the Falcons losing that game to the Cardinals in 1997, they could have, in our timeline in the 1998 draft, they ended up getting Keith Brooking. Had they ended up winning that game against the Cardinals instead of losing it, they would have their draft pick would have fallen, and they would have fallen a little deeper down in the draft pick, maybe Keith Brooking, who by the way ends up being a multiple time Pro Bowler for him, and maybe they don't. Maybe Keith Brooking already gets taken by the time the Falcons in this made up timeline that I'm making up right now. Maybe they don't. They don't take Keith Brooking. Maybe they go somewhere else. Maybe he goes somewhere else, and and maybe if they didn't have his help on defense against the Minnesota Vikings in that 1988 NFC Championship game, maybe Robert Smith, maybe the Vikings running back Robert Smith, maybe breaks a few big runs and puts the Vikings at a point where they didn't need Gary Anderson to continue to be perfect. Maybe that game's more of a blowout, and the Vikings end up winning that game, and maybe beats the Broncos in the Super Bowl. Because they don't have the distractions of who's getting off the team plane. They don't have the distraction of the man of the year, their man of the year safety, going out and trying to buy sex from an undercover cop, like the night before a Super Bowl. Yeah. Yeah, that was. I mean, as a person who's not a Falcons fan or a Broncos fan, I just now find that just be hilarious. I mean, yeah, Eugene Robinson was the NFL Man of the Year, basically this man of faith who does good for the community and stuff, and is preaching, very preachy and stuff about don't to his players about not getting distracted and all that, and yet he's getting arrested for soliciting sex from paid sex for a cop. maybe John Elway doesn't go out on top. If they have to face the Vikings in the Super Bowl. Um, granted, he has Terrell Davis, who's, probably gonna have a little bit of a field day against those Vikings, but yeah, but who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I think I said before that I'm just really too busy to delve to do any sort of deep dives into these alternate timelines. It's a fun thought to think about some of these timelines, and I might do a few more of these as it as this fall season comes along. But I'm not guaranteeing I will, but I might. Um, yeah. Um, so yeah, I think that's about. Well, actually, yeah, I guess there is only one more thing to talk about. We have a graduate at GCMS named Aiden Lawfrey who was actually named as one of the U of I's U of I football team's one of their six captains. Um, yeah, you got a you got a GCMS grad who's the captain of a Big Ten football team. That is really cool. Really, really cool. I guess that is about all I have to say about that. But and I guess that's all I really have to say for this week. Well, so this has been Drew Rosten. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you guys next time.